Netflix has come a long way in the last decade or so, all the way from renting DVDs by mail, which you can still do, to creating original content and falling into all the pits that come along with that. Here are some of the biggest scandals Netflix has run into. We all know that awful things happen to kids in this world, and while it's important to have some sort of representation of those things in the media, there are lines. The 2018 series Baby was inspired by a true story involving 14 and 15-year-old girls who sold their bodies so they could buy designer clothing. But according to Netflix's official bio, Baby is about forbidden love, family pressures, and shared secrets. So while the premise is based on something that did actually happen, turning it into an edgy TV series seems a little less than appropriate.
Big mistake. Big. Huge.
In fact, the National Center on Sexual Exploitation seemed to think the same thing. It asked Netflix to nix the series prior to its premiere. As for the show's handling of those issues, Decider says it's kind of an even divide between portraying prostitution as, quote, dark and sad, while also not really condemning it. And despite the backlash, Netflix hasn't seemed to seriously consider pulling the series. As of 2019, Baby is still listed among its offerings. Nothing says smart and sophisticated like binging and purging, or so Netflix seems to believe. Prior to the premiere of the company's original movie To the Bone in July 2017, its trailer was met with immediate social media outrage. According to Decider, viewers accused Netflix of, quote, romanticizing mental illness and labeled the film as triggering, warning anyone suffering from an eating disorder to avoid it. To the Bone star Lily Collins, who has struggled with anorexia in real life, defended the movie as an honest portrayal of eating disorders. The actress said, "The 2-minute and 30-second trailer doesn't show the entire scope of the movie. Having experienced this subject matter and gone through the disorder, we would never seek out to make a movie that fetishizes or encourages or glamorizes the disorder in any way, shape, or form. Still, if you're suffering from or recovering from an eating disorder, it's probably best to stick with another one of Netflix's originals." Companies go to great lengths to categorize their customers by age, height, and buying habits. If a company can figure out how to collect data on you, they're going to collect data on you, even if it's not especially useful to them at the time. It would be nice to think that Netflix doesn't partake in the practice, but there are those who question if the company might actually be categorizing their audiences based on sexual orientation. In March 2019, Out in Tech co-founder Lucas Toms accused the streaming service of changing the episode order of his adult animated anthology series Love, Death, Robots based on whether it thinks the person watching is gay or straight. Netflix denies that it's doing that, though. A spokesperson told The Wrap, "We don't ask members for their race, gender, or ethnicity, so we cannot use this information to personalize their individual Netflix experience. The only information we use is a member's viewing history." They've also specifically said the 4 different episode orders it tested out for Love, Death, and Robots were unrelated to sexual identity. Toms eventually conceded, tweeting, "A friend I trust at Netflix looked into this, and apparently the episode ordering is just a 100% random A/B test." In the summer of 2018, a photographer named Sean Heavey spotted something familiar in Beyond Stranger Things, a show that documents the making of the popular Netflix original Stranger Things. It was an image of an unusual cloud formation, and it belonged to him. According to Pixie, Heavey filed a lawsuit against the streaming service, alleging that it was using his photograph, The Mothership, without his permission. Although U.S. copyright law is notoriously ambiguous about this sort of thing, it seemed like a pretty basic case of plagiarism on the surface. Major elements of Heavey's photograph do appear in the documentary as concept art for the show. But Netflix argued that its use of the image falls under the umbrella of fair use, which allows for the use of copyrighted images as long as they are heavily transformed. On one hand, the photo's appearance in concept art suggests that Netflix didn't originally intend for it to be seen by an audience outside of its own creative team. On the other hand, it did end up in the documentary, which leaves the door open for Heavey to argue that Netflix profited from the use of his work, robbing the photo of some of its commercial value in the process. It's not looking great for Netflix, though at the time of this video, the lawsuit has yet to be settled. It used to be that portraying smoking on TV was the norm, but as public awareness of its dangers has increased over the years, its prevalence has decreased, for the most part. According to The Wrap, in 2019, the anti-smoking group Truth Initiative alleged that Netflix showed more people smoking on screen than broadcast or cable programs, and Stranger Things, it claimed, was the biggest offender. Netflix responded by promising to do better. A spokesperson said in a statement, "We recognize that smoking is harmful, and when portrayed positively on screen, it can adversely influence young people." The company also promised future programming with ratings of TV-14, PG-13 or below would be smoke and vape free. Quote, "except for reasons of historical or factual accuracy." For higher-rated programming, Netflix would only promise to limit smoking and vaping. They said, "There'll be no smoking or e-cigarettes unless it's essential to the creative vision of the artist or because it's character-defining." The statement pretty much leaves the company open to excuse nearly every depiction of the habit. Yes, a lot of people smoked in the 80s, so one could argue Stranger Things is just being historically accurate. Of course, there weren't any demogorgons or mind flayers in the actual 80s, so it's hard to know exactly where to draw the historical accuracy line. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.